And welcome to Too Many Movies, the podcast where we discuss DVDs, Blu-rays, and even the occasional VHS tape. I'm your host, Hal, and ACritic, introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. I'm ACritic. Another film enjoyer, as I'm sure many other guests have before. Of course, I use Letterboxd, of course, because and serialized and backlogged and all those other things. And I feel like I'm in like Hal's circle, but I'm very like off to like the fringes. I'm not like in the deep circle. I kind of want to be though, but I'm actually kind of glad that he picked me for a podcast episode out of the many people.
Well, you know what? This is your chance from becoming a critic to becoming the critic. So this is your chance. Yeah.
Okay.
You've heard of a Minecraft movie. This is a critic.
Yeah.
Well, welcome, ACritic. No, I'm actually very excited about today's episode. Because one of the movies you suggested, the other one I decided to tag on to the movie you suggested. That movie you suggested, let's get right into it. Monster House. I liked when we were talking about this, you had said, I want to do Monster House. I know it's a little out of season because we're going to be doing it, not at Halloween time. But I think it's perfect that we were able to start recording. We're recording this episode in May because what is May if not halfway to Halloween? So today's a halfway to Halloween episode in that. So that's exciting.
Oh, that's pretty good, actually.
Yeah. So why did you want to talk about Monster House? I mean, I like Monster House. Spoiler alerts. I think this movie's great. But I just want to ask, why did you recommend it for the episode?
Well, when you first approached me for the podcast, you said, can you pick a film that you might have a lot to talk about? And I immediately wanted to go to Top Gun Maverick, but then I looked through your episodes and I saw that you'd already covered it. So I was like, okay.
We can never talk about Top Gun Maverick ever again on the podcast. In fact, us talking about it right now goes against the rules of the podcast. So that's strike one, dude.
Oh, dear. Okay. So no, if you know me like very well online, you'll know that I'm a big fan of that film. So yeah, I was like, okay, well, I got to pick something else that I really talk about. And then I think you mentioned something that has like personal value to you. So I was like, So I racked my brains. I was like, Monster House. There we go. And I can explain the story behind that if you want.
Please do.
Okay, so I was very young, just about like 5 or 6, and I had this DVD. And you're going to blow your mind when you hear this DVD. It is a 3-pack DVD of 3 Sony animation movies. One was Monster House, one was Surf's Up, and the other one was Open Season. That was a 3-pack that I had.
All the classics. There you go.
So yeah, when I wasn't watching like Disney Renaissance films or early Pixar, it was just straight to that 3-pack, just over and over again, just a binge of all 3 of those. And I was most taken with Monster House out of all of them.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
I watched that one over and over and over again because I don't know, something captured my imagination about it. I think it's also because they were also relatively kids as well, the main characters. It's like one of those movies when you're young, you're like, I want to live in that movie. Like it like gets your imagination going. You're like, I want to be like when you watch Star Wars and you're like, I want to live in Star Wars. Yeah. Or I want to live in Harry Potter. I want to go to Hogwarts.
Yeah.
I wanted to do what they did in Monster House. I wanted to be like
you wanted
DJ Chowder and Jenny.
You wanted to live in a neighborhood with a killer house.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to take that sucker down.
Hey, you know what? Fair enough. They do take it down, so it is possible. That's fair. No, it's good that you grew up with this. So you have that perspective. Because I'm the perspective. I did not grow up with this. I feel like I should have. This was one of those movies that I feel like my generation definitely grew up watching. But I never watched it as a kid. I can't really think of any particular reason. I just never came across it. So I didn't watch it for the first time until I was an adult. And honestly, even watching it as an adult, I have no nostalgia for it. I loved it. I thought it was awesome.
Well, that makes a change from most people I know who do watch it as an adult.
Really?
Or at least some adults who've already said they think it's just okay, which, is fair enough. And I think maybe it's kind of an acquired taste. Maybe.
Maybe.
But I'm not sure. I actually think it's still generally. I actually think it's way funnier now that I'm an adult.
Sure.
And I pick up on all the more mature elements of it. I find it a lot more funnier now.
Yeah. I think we got to address the elephant in the room with this movie, and that is when you first watch it, the animation. I think that probably must be a big hang up for a lot of people.
That is certainly something that I've heard a lot of people complain about, the animation.
Mm-hmm.
But I come in with the bias is like I never really noticed it as a kid.
Right.
Now that I've watched it like a load of times, I'm almost 21 now, and I watched it again recently, of course. And I watch it again. I'm starting to notice like, their hair doesn't move as it should. It feels like everybody's hair is very like stuck on, like Lego hair.
Lego hair is a good description. Yeah. Yeah, because I was thinking about this. I feel like, yeah, the animation is usually brought up with Monster House. I feel like watching the movie, that is my only hang up, is the animation. And in ways I think it's unfair because obviously it seemed very primitive. It seemed like these people were dealing with technology they didn't really know how to deal with at the time. But also it's 11 years after Toy Story, you think, and this looks worse than the first Toy Story. And
I don't know. I guess you can make the case this looks like on par with like first Toy Story, maybe.
I mean, well, so my thing is that at least with Toy Story, because Toy Story, I think, does have the worst animation out of all Pixar movies. But,
of course,
it's a very big but with that. I still think the movie rules, even though it has limitations in its animation, because you can still see, even though it's limited, the filmmakers did the best they could with what they were given. And I do think that with this movie too. I think Monster House, the filmmakers were obviously dealing with very weird technology because looking at the credits, who should executive produce this but Zemeckis and Spielberg? And we all know what movies they were making at the time. Zemeckis specifically with Polar Express, Beowulf, The Christmas Carol, Jim Carrey movie, Mars Needs Moms. He didn't direct Mars Needs Moms, but his company did. And oh boy.
I was going to say Polar Express is another one that I've got like a close attachment to as a kid, but
sure.
That is definitely way out of season, so I didn't pick that one.
No, yeah. I have the fondness for Polar Express too. I don't think I have as strong a fondness of it as I do other movies, but I do remember it being a big part of my childhood. Whereas I feel like Monster House is definitely better than those movies. Because I think the story and characters are what make this truly special. Because even with the limitations of animation, I think the limitations also do kind of work to its advantage, because this is a very creepy and scary movie for kids.
Yeah.
And the weird animation kind of adds to that. I think it is still too primitive to the point that I think it still is the worst quality of the movie and holding it back from being truly something special. But again, I think the fact that it's the one hang up I have with the movie, the rest of the movie I think is great. I mean, that's still pretty impressive. It's still a big thing because, I mean, film is a visual medium. And when your visuals are not up to snuff, that can hold it back a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's the visual medium, and you're looking at something for like an hour and a half to at least 2 hours. It's got to look good, otherwise.
Yeah, but again, like I said, it's still a creepy and atmospheric film, and I think those visuals looking as creepy as they do still kind of adds a little bit to what the movie's going for.
Yeah, I completely get that as well. I was also gonna say, I think if they tried doing this in like live action, it probably would have been like too much CGI.
Yes.
And I feel like them doing it in like just full proper animation, no like motion capture, I feel like it kind of loses its identity because it's a lot of shots and like a lot of like tracking bits. A film like a conventional like live action film as well. And I feel like if they just did it like full, completely animated, it would lose a bit of that like halfway between nature almost.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's sort of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of.
That's fair to say. Yeah. I was thinking about it because my sister had brought this up. Like if it had maybe gone with like a more Coraline or Paranorman style of animation, that would have been cool.
With stop motion. Ooh, that could have been good.
Yeah. It obviously would have been way more harder to do because stop motion is a bitch to film, but
And it takes forever.
right, it does take forever. But I mean, movies like Coraline and Paranorman are still talked about to this day because, well, I mean, for various reasons, but a big reason is because of the animation.
I mean, on top of they're also just like extremely well written.
Oh yeah,
There's like a lot to dig into, like the details
oh yeah.
in the worlds and everything.
I love Coraline so much. One of my favorites.
I mean, who doesn't love Coraline?
Exactly. Who doesn't? But yeah, no, Monster House, again, no matter what qualms I have with it, I think overall it is a very good film. Especially because it's a very rare film, I feel like. It's a genuinely good horror film for kids. And I was really surprised by that. The fact that we got a genuinely excellent horror film meant for kids, you know?
I get that. I mean, it's not really something you often see. I mean, like most like scary films for children aren't really like horror. They're more
No.
like spooky. There's like a difference. There's spooky and there's like horror. Spooky is there's some mild scary bits, but nothing too scary. Horror is like, like full on sort of stuff. It's like when I talk about like the difference between the first Evil Dead and Army of Darkness. The first Evil Dead is scary.
Yeah.
Army of Darkness is spooky.
Yeah, that's fair
And
to say.
if you watch both films, you know why.
Yeah, well, yes, of course. Also, whenever it comes to people talking about the scariest movies they watched as children, or parts that scared them and traumatized them as kids, it's usually not from traditional horror films. It's little segments you'll see in movies that aren't traditionally horror, like I don't know, the Large Marge sequence in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, or the Dark Crystal or Labyrinth. Like these movies scared kids even though they're not horror films. So,
Yeah.
horror is not typically a genre you would advertise to kids. And if they do watch horror films, it's films they shouldn't be watching at that age, like Alien or The Evil Dead or Halloween. But I mean, those movies still rule. But like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't be showing your 9-year-old these things. I mean, unless they can handle it. Every kid is different.
Yeah. And I feel like so many, like, at least the generation above us, they definitely watched all of those films when they shouldn't have been watching them. Right. They watched them very, very super young.
Yeah. I mean, but then you tend to grow up, like, really appreciating those films you shouldn't have been watching. Like, I was, 10 when I watched The Blues Brothers. I shouldn't have been watching it at 10, but I love that movie so fucking much. So,
And I think it's also the same for me as well, because I watched... at least I had access to the first season of South Park when I was 10, which I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And I love that. That led to me watching the film not long after.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this film's great.
Great movie.
I love it.
Yeah. But I feel like Monster House, I definitely would not have a problem showing my kid Monster House. I should probably be in the room if I'm watching it with a child. But... Because, like, I think even there are some sequences where it's like, oh, this would have fucked me up as a kid. But I still think it's still not really tame. I don't want to say tame necessarily, but it's still meant for that younger audience. I still feel like it can be accessible for that audience,
I feel like, because I think I watched it around like the age of 5 or 6. Monster House is definitely like something geared towards like 9 to 10 to 11.
Yeah.
It's that age, not really like 5 or 6. But even still, my mother never watched it with me. But I kept asking her because I liked the film so much. I wanted to share it with her. I was like, Mom, can you watch? Do you want to watch Monster House with me? She's like, no, and she refused me for like years upon years. I was like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of PG movies I watched without parental guidance. I mean, yes, you got obviously nowadays you have your Frozens and your Inside Outs that are rated PG when it's like, come on, they're practically G. But then there are movies that were definitely PG that I watched on my own because it's like, who fucking cares,
Yeah, no, I get that.
But I do think Monster House, because again, like it's very atmospheric. The tension is very good. And it never feels cheap. Like I feel like if you're going to make a horror film for kids, you might want to kind of hold back on a couple of things. But I think they do. They know what to hold back on, but also know what to show that, I think kids can handle this if they're willing to give it a chance. Because one thing I noticed is, characters you'll see get consumed by the house, and you don't really see them again until the credits. Because, obviously nobody technically died. I mean, okay, spoiler alert, the woman who becomes the house died because Constance gets buried in the fucking house.
I'd argue that's like the most extreme part of the film.
Oh my god. Yeah, when you see the fucking her body entombed in the concrete, it's like, whoa, okay.
And then it just reveals the skeleton.
Oh, it rules. I love that it goes that far. Because you got to have some of that stuff to really show the horrific aspects of the movie. But yeah, no, but like anybody who gets consumed by the house, Bones, the police officers, the dog, they still come back in the end. So they didn't actually die. I think that adds to the movie's.
Do you feel like that's a cop out at all?
I don't think that's a cop out. No, I don't think it's a cop out. Oh, get it? Because the cops.
Oh, okay, I see it.
No, I don't think it is. I think because you don't have to have characters die off and bring them back, and that cheapens it. I think that's fine, depending on what the movie's going for. I think because this is aimed at a younger audience, I think them coming back, I don't think that cheapens the scares. I think that still makes it scary. And them coming back is still kind of funny because they come out of the house after the house has been destroyed. They're just like, whoa, what happened, man? It's like that's funny.
Yeah, I think that does like beef up like the humor element, and this film is extremely funny.
Oh, dude,
it's such a funny film.
Yeah, and I think it's really funny because it's not necessarily pop culture references where it's the jokes. It's not even pop culture references. I think it is just the personalities of the characters clashing with one another that we get a lot of the comedy from. Because you have DJ and Chowder, the two main characters, like they're genuinely funny kids. I think Chowder is hilarious. He is the fat friend stereotype, but not as extreme where it's like, oh, this is just the stereotype. Like I think Chowder has enough going for him that he is a genuinely hilarious character.
He is. He's one of the funniest out of there's like a half a dozen other funny characters in this film, but he's like probably up there because he's the one that has the most screen time.
Yeah. Oh, one of my favorites is when he gets a call from his dad and he's on the phone and then he hangs up and then DJ and Jenny walk into the room and he puts the phone back up to pretend he's still talking to his dad. And then he's just like,
Dad, why don't you kiss my hairy butt? Hey, DJ, got any beer?
the turnaround of him being like, hey, DJ, you got any beer? It's both really funny and so encompassing of that type of child. Like, yeah, when you're that age, you would act like that. Like, oh yeah, I drink beer. Even though you're like, what, 12? You don't know what beer tastes like.
Because they want to impress, they want to look older and grown up in front of Jenny because they're trying to impress her.
Yeah. See, that's another thing. The love triangle aspect between the three of them, I actually think is handled very well. Because usually when it comes to love triangles or kids trying to impress other kids in that sense, can come across as very cringy. Which here it does come across cringy because correct, that is cringe when you're that age and you act like that. It is very cringe. But it never feels cheap. It feels like, oh, this is how they feel, and it is genuinely funny, and it never really takes the forefront in the movie. It's held back enough that it's kind of a not really subtler thing, but like it's there, but it's not distracting from the overall story of them trying to destroy the house,
Yeah, no, because it really shouldn't, because there's a house across the street that eats people.
Yeah,
that takes more priority.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with how the movie is able to handle that. Like it shows these scenes of these characters kind of trying to one up each other and trying to impress the girl, but not to the point that it's distracting from the overall plot. I feel like a lot of movies tend to include aspects of that into their stories and plots, but to the point that it distracts from the overall like skeletal story that we should be focusing on.
I completely get that as well.
No, this movie never falls for that. It knows where to put that stuff. And yeah, because there's parts where the characters blow up at each other, but it never feels like typical, third act breakup formula,
No, it feels natural given the buildup of events.
Right, yeah. So that's why I am a Monster House truther, is because, this movie knows where to... This movie actually is genuinely well written, and I love these characters. It's unfortunate that the animation looks like that, so it's a little hard to get into the movie at first, but once you actually sit down and watch it, you're like, oh wait, no, this rules. Like, this is great.
Yeah, no, again, I can't come from that perspective because the animation, I'm so used to it that it doesn't faze me anymore.
You know what? I totally get that. There's plenty of movies I grew up watching where to other people they may seem creepy and I'm not fazed by it. Like what? I've seen The Dark Crystal upwards of like multiple times to the point that like the creepy puppets don't no longer affect me. I don't like it looks completely normal to me, but some people will watch that and just be like, I'm freaking the fuck out over looking at these gelflings and these Skeksis. Like they're scaring me.
No, I get that as well. That's why I like showing people like something like Alien as well, because I've seen it like a handful of times already. So when I show new people who haven't seen it before, I just sort of like sit back and like just watch during the first chest burster scene. I just sit back and just watch everybody around me. Like,
oh yeah, that's a great scene to like see other people's reactions too.
That's what I love doing when I show people movies. Just like I know there's a really good bit coming up, and I am so excited to see everybody's reactions.
Yeah,
that's what I always enjoy doing when I show people movies.
Yeah, especially Monster House.
Yeah, especially towards the end, the gradual build up of like the stakes and how big it all gets towards the end. Like you never expect it to go as like over the top as it does towards the end.
Kaiju house where it has tree trunks for arms and it's using the arms to walk across the neighborhood. And nobody else in the neighborhood is just like, hey, what's going on? It's just the kids. Still awesome.
That's something I was going to bring up at a certain point. Something I wrote down in my notes. Yeah, that part as well, of course, the final fight where it's crashing through the neighborhood and everything, and it's pulling down electric wires and all sorts. How does the entire streets are like empty, and then after they beat the house and they go back to that street, then it's suddenly like full of people trick-or-treating all over the place.
Yeah.
I was like, where these people come from?
Yeah. And nobody questions like, hey, how come old Nibbercracker's house is gone? Whatever happened to that?
Well, the little girl from the start of the film shows up and she asks, "What happened to Mr. Nibbercracker's house?"
Yeah,
and
she's the only one who
blew it up.
She's the only one who questions it.
Yeah, what's this giant pit in the ground?
There's a giant hole in the ground. I think many people in suburbia would be like, that's strange. Like, at least question it, like, what happened here?
That's another thing I was going to bring up, because Mr. Nibbercracker, he's been around for like years and years and years. He's like, there's like legends about him, about how he's like weird and he steals people's stuff if it lands on his lawn. He's been operating like this for who knows how long. Actually, I do know, 45 years. He mentions it at the end. What, has he never been like arrested by the police? He's never been like brought up or anything? Like, because he steals people's stuff?
Well, remember, there's only two cops, and it's Kevin James and Nick Cannon, and then Judy down at the station.
I mean, I guess so, but like...
they've been the only two cops for 45 years, even though one of them's a rookie.
Yeah, who's got the job. But like, I guess you could sort of say there's like, oh yeah, there's only two cops in this entire town. But when they go down into the basement and you see like the mountains and mountains of shit he's got everywhere, you're like, okay, he's been doing this for 45 years. How has he never been like called up by like the police or like anyone's like gone knocking at his door? Like, can you give me my child's stuff back, please?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's really weird.
I guess that's
like,
that's
I've
one of
only
those
now
things.
tweaked that.
Yeah.
I've only now tweaked that now on this watch because I've never thought about it at all.
Yeah. I guess it's one of those things that's not really important to the story, so they don't need to bring it up. So I get it, but it's just funny to point out, be like, hey, wait a minute. Logically speaking, what's going on here?
No, I get that. I was also going to ask as well, start of the film, when Chowder is messing around with his new basketball, and it accidentally bounces all the way into Nibbercracker's lawn. And he's like, oh, DJ, you're grown up now, go get it. And DJ's like, no. And then Chowder starts doing like, I paid $28 for that ball. I ran 10 yards and asked my mom for $1 26 times. And I hold up, and then like, I realized now this watch, I was like, hold on, $28 for a basketball? Excuse me? And I was going to ask you, because, well, you're the American here. I was going to ask, what's like a basketball regularly priced at?
It's been years since I bought a basketball, because I played basketball in middle school. I don't remember how much that cost. Basketball.
Because I'm pretty sure in the UK you could probably get one for at least like £10.
Yeah.
Pounds, which is at least like roughly around like $15.
basketball here. Amazon. I can get a basketball on Amazon for like $15. yeah. Wait a minute. That's not how inflation works. So yeah, $28 for
Yeah,
a basketball. You know what? I was
2006.
I was when I think about that scene, I think about the fact that he's just like, I spent $28 on that. I raked 10 yards and asked my mom for $26, like $1.26 times. So what? He raked 10 lawns and made $2 raking 10 lawns.
Again, again, it's like sort of like maybe it's like, oh, he's just kind of bullshitting because he's just he's putting on the act like,
Sure.
Can you please just get my ball back, DJ?
Yeah. But still, that's a funny line.
Watch, I tweaked. Yeah, it's a funny line. But I tweaked it. I was like, is he being for real?
Yeah.
No way.
$28 for basketball. I didn't even think about that. I get maybe it was a very nice ball,
Mm-hmm.
It was.
I mean, it just looks like a normal ball.
Yeah.
If you said like something like, "Oh yeah, fucking Michael Jordan used this in the 1992 game,"
The 1992
then I'd be like,
game.
"Okay, then I'd be like, $28 for basketball. Okay, well, I can see that."
It was personally handed down to him by famous basketball player. That one. It's just like, yeah, okay. Then
of course.
Yeah, him. That is weird now that I think about it logically. But yeah, no, it still leads to a really funny line. So,
Just wanted to bring that up. What else have I got written down here?
Well, to get back into Nebercracker, because like I like how he is a genuinely kind of creepy old dude, and you think like, oh, he's the neighborhood old man. He's the neighborhood geezer, that everybody knows about, and then he gets a flashback in the third act to show actually he wasn't all that bad. He had a loving wife. Okay, no, he loved his wife. He didn't have a loving wife because she was actually a huge bitch. Emphasis on the huge part.
Well, okay now. Okay.
But I actually really like the flashback at the third act to show kind of his tragic backstory and how this all occurred and how Constance, his wife, became the house. Because it's honestly a pretty tragic story. Again, for a kid's movie, to show not only are you showing the wife dying, but you're showing her being like, obviously this very enormous woman who's seen as a circus freak because she's literally in the circus. She's that big. And you feel bad for her, but she is also is kind of a jerk to these kids. She wields an axe towards children in the backstory. And then she ends up falling over and being consumed by the house. And then as the house, her spirit becomes the house, she then terrorizes the neighborhood for 45 years. So it's like this really interesting characterization where you have this character, you should feel bad for her, but then she's still doing these awful things as she's taken over the spirit, like taken over the consciousness of the house. So I think that's I'm really impressed that the movie is showing this kind of characterization in the kids movie, because I'm sure it's really difficult for a kid to comprehend this, but it's still getting them to think, to be like, this character I should feel bad for, and in ways I do, but she's still doing horrible things to other characters throughout the movie. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I get that. And you can understand why she lashes out at those children near towards the end of that flashback, because they just did that to her entire life.
Yeah,
and,
they are being
got,
obnoxious. Yes.
Yeah, and finally she's got like this level of stability in her life where she can just be with with the person that she loves, just alone by themselves, and it's just like you can understand why. Not what she did was right or anything, and it is sad what happened to her, but you can understand it.
Yeah, but it's just really cool that the movie goes this far, showing this character, like the fall of this character, literally, because she falls into the foundation and gets buried by the concrete.
Again, though, I think that's probably like the bleakest part of the whole film.
Oh, incredibly bleak. But I'm glad they included it, because I think it's handled very well. This isn't one of those moments where the movie's trying to be bigger than it actually is. No, I think the movie actually earns the bleakness that it tries to translate.
No, I completely get that. Completely get that. Great. I don't know. I've never talked about the film this much before with someone else before, at least to this like level of depth. Because
Yeah.
people will just like, "Yeah, Monster House is a good film." It's like, "Oh yeah, I love watching that. It was a funny film," and then it doesn't go beyond that.
Yeah. I mean, because I look through the Letterboxd reviews, you definitely get a lot of 5 stars. I'm so nostalgic for this, or this is actually the greatest movie ever made. And it's like, slow down, Buckaroo. I mean, it is. Like, don't get me wrong, but you know how Letterboxd users are when trying to explain a film and trying to explain why a movie is good.
I mean, some Letterboxd users can. I try to all the time,
Mhm.
but the problem with Letterboxd is that the funny reviews get to the top.
Yes.
The funny, quick, like one sentence ones are always the ones that get popular. So if you want to like go for like a deep dive, you gotta actually like deep dive to find the deep dive reviews.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm obviously very guilty of of reading the one sentence reviews and be like, "Oh, that's funny. Give it a like." Because sometimes they are funny. A lot of the
Yeah.
times they're not. You look at the top reviews, you're like, "Ugh, why does this one have over 400 likes?"
Yeah, it's like a very like tepid joke, or it's just like thirsting for like an actor or actress in the movie.
Oof, those are the worst. Oof, I hate those so much. I am definitely guilty of like looking at a long review and being like, "Damn, bro, I ain't reading all that." I need to be better at that. I fully admit it. I need to be better at that. But yeah, no, but I think this movie, like I said at the beginning, I am a Monster House truther. I truly believe this is a good film. And animation aside, the writing, the characters, I think there's enough solidness to it that yeah, this is a very good horror film, a very good kids movie. Just and even beyond that, just a genuinely good film that you can watch. Again, I didn't watch it until I was an adult, and I still enjoyed it just as much. And so, yeah, I think more people should give this a chance. I think a lot of people have, but I think more people should.
Yeah.
And also, I don't understand how it lost to Happy Feet. I mean, in a way, as I do know why it lost to Happy Feet, because it wasn't the funny dancing penguin movie.
Oh, we talking about the Academy Awards now?
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm not
Oh,
somebody
no.
who gives credit towards the Academy Awards. I am as far away from giving them any sort of credit as one can be. But yeah,
Of course.
this further proves my point. It's like, okay, it went up against Surf's Up and Happy Feet, and neither Surf's Up or this one. I would have honestly understood Surf's Up winning best animated feature that year than Happy Feet. I don't even like Surf's Up. I think that's one of my big hot takes is that I don't even like the first movie. But like, I feel like I would understand it more getting the Academy Award over fucking Happy Feet.
It's because Happy Feet has got like that Academy shine. It's doing so much. It's doing like an outsider story. It's doing global warming and the environment. It's doing pollution. It's doing like so many like grand big things. So that's got that Academy sparkle. Whereas Monster House is spooky film for children, funny.
Yeah. Whereas, yeah,
And
I mean, yeah, in fairness, horror films traditionally in general, like regular adult horror films, do not get respect at the Academy Awards either. So a children's horror film, forget about it.
it's like a tier below.
Yeah. I mean, at least it got nominated. I mean, just because it was animated. And I guess the Academy didn't want to nominate Cars that year. I
was going to ask, was Cars nominated that year?
No, which is weird. I mean, I guess that further proves how Cars was seen as the black sheep of Pixar at the time. Honestly, I wouldn't have minded if Cars won. I know it's the Pixar pick, and I know the Academy is biased towards Pixar and Disney, but I mean, Cars wasn't that bad. I think Cars holds up pretty well.
I mean, I still wouldn't think it's worthy of like Academy Awards.
I mean, yeah. Then again, Shark Tale and Boss Baby also got nominated, so it's
okay.
It's just a free for all.
Well, I mean, yeah, no, I get that. What did win two? Yeah, it was Incredibles that won 2004. Why did I think it was Shark Tale for a second?
Well, because Shark Tale is, I mean, it's beyond the Academy. But no, yeah, Incredibles won because, well, it's an incredible film.
Yeah.
But yeah, Monster.
You say that about the Disney Pixar stigma. I feel like that's really the bias is certainly like dissipated a bit in the last few years.
Yeah. Because like the Disney movies, that have been getting nominated, you're just like, really, we're nominating this one? Like, come on, dude. But then you do get ones that actually win, that actually feel deserved. Like, yeah, you have Pinocchio, which I wasn't the biggest fan of Pinocchio, but out of the nominations, it's like, yeah, okay, this one winning, I'm okay with that. And then Boy and the Heron winning, and then what won recently?
Well, last year or this year.
Oh, Flow won, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It actually, it was Flow.
Yeah, Flow won. So yeah, okay. So yeah, we haven't gotten a Disney win in a while. Again, because the ones that have been winning are actually artistically up there in terms of quality, and then the Disney stuff that they have been pumping out has been Inside Out 2 and Wish and Strange World.
Oh boy, I can't wait to watch Strange World.
Oh, you still haven't watched it? Oof.
No, but it is the next one I'm gonna watch because I've been blowing through like all the animated Disney films, and I just finished Encanto the other day, and I was like, okay, what's next? Oh, it's time to finally do Strange World next.
I haven't seen Strange World since it came out. I don't remember even liking it then. I doubt I would like it anymore now. You know, it's one of those Disney films where you're just like, you're trying so hard, dude, and it's just nothing, you know.
Strange though, because I saw the poster when it was coming out. I saw the poster at the cinema. I was like, that actually looks kind of interesting. What are they doing? Like a riff on like 50s like sci-fi adventure serials? That could be kind of cool. And then I hear no one talk about it afterwards.
Well, see, they tried. They advertised they were going to do 50s adventure serials, and then they dropped that after 5 minutes. And then it's just a generic Disney movie for the rest of the movie. Oof. I mean, it's not the worst Disney put out movie of 2022. That obviously still goes to Lightyear, but like, oof, still, woof.
I was actually excited for Lightyear.
Oh, dude, you're talking to me.
This could be good.
Yeah, I was the biggest Adventures of Buzz Lightyear Star Command as a kid. I was like, hell yeah!
I love the movie. I love the movie from that show.
I love the Adventures of Buzz Lightyear Star Command. Such a good movie. And then you watch Lightyear, like, oh, this rivals Cars 2 for worst Pixar movie.
I don't know. I'd still say Good Dinosaur is like overtaking Cars 2.
Oh yeah, Good Dinosaur is way worse than Cars 2. I'm ready to admit Good Dinosaur is. I'm ready to admit Cars 2 is no longer the worst. Like Good Dinosaur is far worse.
I think the only reason people say like Cars 2 anymore is because not many people know about the Good Dinosaur. Just sort of like off quietly, but people will still always like bring up Cars 2 because it's like, it was big.
I mean, Cars 2 was the very first Pixar blunder, like it was the first time we were like, wait a minute, Pixar can make bad movies? Because people obviously had their problems with Cars, but not to the point that they thought, oh, this is the worst. Like, this is actually bad. Like, people were still like, it's okay at worst. Whereas Cars 2, like, after Pixar's 2000s, Pixar in the 2000s was unstoppable. And then they come out with Cars 2. You're just like, whoa, wait a minute. Whoa. They can actually be bad? Like, this is unprecedented. Like, this was huge back in the day. Obviously, nowadays, if Pixar makes a bad movie, you're like, well, yeah, no shit. Like, it's not that big of a deal anymore.
I guess if you look at like the grand scheme of things, it is kind of like depressing almost. Yeah. So how the level of quality is just sort of like slowly gone down and down and down.
Yeah, I'm no longer surprised when Pixar makes a bad movie, but it is. Yeah, we will never have the stretch of films they had in the 2000s ever again. Like, that era is long gone. Maybe for the best.
I'd like it to be. Really?
So it makes us appreciate those films far more. Would I want them to make something good again? Absolutely. I'm not trying to root for their downfall. I think that's ridiculous. That's stupid. I'm just saying I'm cynical to the point I don't think we'll ever have something as close to that stretch for a while or ever. But I've made my peace with that.
Yeah. That's fair enough.
I'll still watch the movies. Like, if Pixar comes out with something that looks interesting, I'll go see it. Like, I won't be like, no, I'm never watching these movies again. Like, no, I'm never say never, I'll give them a chance. I'm just saying, for me, I'm cynical to the point that I'm not really expecting something on the same level as The Incredibles or Monsters, Inc. or Ratatouille.
Yeah. What was the last Pixar film? I can't remember now.
Inside Out 2, right? Because that was last year.
Yeah, that was last year.
Yeah, it was fine.
I wasn't that big on it.
Yeah,
I think it had like good parts in it, but I think
there were good parts.
I don't want to get like too nitpicky here, but I feel like the world building kind of ruins it and makes you overcomplicates everything.
Oh yeah. No, I've never been huge on Inside Out's world building. And I mean, I was willing to forgive it in the first one, and then the second one came, and I'm like, all right, guys, you've gone too far. What is this?
It becomes to the point where it becomes distracting from
Yeah.
the actual story, which I actually think the general story is pretty decent.
Hmm.
It's just that the execution and the way they choose to visualize it is just
Yeah. But hey, at least it beat The Lion King and is now the highest grossing animated film again. Wow, great job, Disney. You beat Disney.
like that. It's the Obama meme where he gives himself the medal.
Yes. Yeah, Obama giving himself the Nobel Peace Prize. That's such a good visual. I love that meme so much. Barack Obama. It will be almost an honor to kill you. Sorry, I'm just recently I've watched that clip multiple times of one of those CWDC shows where Gorilla Grodd goes back in time and he finds Barack Obama in college and he breaks into his dorm and he just goes, Barack Obama, it will almost be an honor to kill you.
What?
Oh, you don't know about this? Some CWDC show had Gorilla Grodd.
I stay far away from those CW shows.
Oh, me
man.
too. Yeah, no, I just know about it through, just seeing the clip online. It's just some random CWDC show. I could not tell you which one. But yeah, Gorilla Grodd goes back in time to when Barack Obama was in college. And he's just like, I'm going to kill Barack Obama. And then he has the ever classic line, it's time to make America Grodd again. Oh, it's so terrible. It's so terrible that it turns back around into being kind of funny, where you're just like, this is so pathetic that somebody thought this was cool.
We should really turn back to Monster House.
Yeah.
CW.
Is there anything else we have to say about Monster House before getting into whether or not I'm going to keep it for the collection?
I got like a couple other little notes here that I made, so we can run through these quickly.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so the bit where they make the vacuum cleaner dummy to try and like lure the house and like get it in there and put it to sleep with the cold medicine inside of it, which is a great plan, by the way. Yeah. I like the little montage where they set it all up.
Yeah, it's very 80s kids movie tier, like kind of like something like The Goonies or something like that,
I mean, that's why they got Spielberg and Zemeckis here. And I think because they have those guys on as executive producers, I think it does manage to like nail the tone of like those old films that they made back then. It perfectly fits in there nicely. And that is also why it manages to strike a good balance of like scary without being like pure horror.
Right.
Because I remember, I think I heard somewhere before, like in the original draft of the script, like when they go inside the house, the house was going to have like flesh walls and everything. It was going to look like viscera and all sorts inside the house. And it was going to be like the house is slowly becoming more like human-like.
That's cool.
But they scrapped that because that sounds pretty extreme for a children's film. Yeah,
that sounds awesome. But if we're still making it a kids movie, I understand they wouldn't want to go that far. That is a little too far. I still think they made the house look awesome on the inside. Like it's still like this decrepit haunted house, so they still managed to do it. It would have been cool to see fleshy house, but they made the right call.
We might have to like bump it up to like at least a 15 maybe if we were going with that direction.
Yeah.
And then also I think in that original draft, any of the characters that were eaten were going to be like gone. They weren't coming back.
Yeah, that would have been cool to see. But again, I get it. You're making this a kids movie. You can only really be so far in the horror aspect before it becomes too far.
Yeah. But back to the original point I was going to make. So they make the vacuum cleaner dummy. They set it up. It's going to the house. And then the whole plan gets cut off because the police show up. And again, this is only something I've tweaked now on this watch. Why did the police show up again? No one. Who called them?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess some unforeseen Karen was like looking out the window and saw, what are those children doing? And so that's what happened. But again, it's never really specified or shown. They just show up randomly. So yeah. You can't really.
I mean, they warn them beforehand when they first show up. They're like, if you mess with this house again, we're gonna sort you out.
Yeah.
But and then they just show up unprompted.
Yeah. Maybe just a gigantic coincidence, but who knows?
Maybe. But I guess that also sort of like factors in. Okay, well, someone definitely called the police, but they don't notice the house doing all this other stuff as well.
Yeah.
It's very weird. But again, it's only taken like, I don't know, like the 50th watch for me to finally like think about that, because the film is so good in so many other aspects that it makes you forget about that.
Yeah, and it's not like if these aspects were explained, it would make the movie any better. The fact that they don't explain it doesn't take away from the storytelling.
Yeah. I don't need like every single like element set up.
Correct, yeah.
I mean, it doesn't like take away from the film at all. No, of course it doesn't. But it is something to think about, I guess.
It is funny to think like they just randomly showed up out of nowhere like, hello, we're here now.
What was another thing I was going to say? When Jenny first shows up and she goes walking up to the house, and those DJ and Chowder run out to there, and they're like, wait, no, come over here, quickly, get back further, come back further. And the very first thing Jenny ever says to these two guys is like, are you guys mentally challenged? Because if you are, I'm certified to teach you baseball. I was like, what? You are never hearing that in like a children's film now. It's like, that's the first thing she says to them.
I miss 2006, man. Where you could call a child mentally challenged in a kid's movie.
I mean, it's another child calling two other children mentally challenged, so you know, it's a pass.
Look, I was a kid in 2006. We said way worse stuff than mentally challenged. Let me tell you that. But
you wouldn't say mentally challenged. You'd say like the shorthand version.
You would absolutely, yeah. We said it constantly in 2006. But I get it. The times are different now. But still, incredible line.
No, I still think it's wild that that's like the very first thing she ever says to them.
It's great, yeah. And to add on top of it, because I'm certified to teach you guys basketball or sports of some kind. Baseball. Incredible line. I love it.
I also think Jenny's also pretty decent, because they like, you know, when she first shows up at the front door and then Z answers the door and she's like, oh yeah, I'm trying to sell candy for my school and everything, you know, because, you know, you're gonna get TP'd, so, you know, I just want to sell you candy, so you make sure you don't get TP'd and everything. And then like, oh yeah, no, it's not my house. And she's like, all right, let's cut the crap. All right, what money did the parents that you're babysitting for, like, how much money did they leave you? And she's like very like slick with it, and also she's like, okay,
yeah.
You give me 20, I write a receipt for 30, and you pocket 10. It's like,
what a smart child. Yeah, I love that. It shows that she is very intelligent, and then it shows that she is capable. So then when they actually start trying to deal with the house, she starts to bring in her smarts that were shown earlier. Yeah, it's a great character setup.
Exactly. I was also going to say, when the first time they get into Mr. Nevercracker's house and they look around and they shoot at the lamp on the ceiling, and she's like, if those are the teeth at the front door and that's the tongue, which is the carpet up the stairs, then that must be the uvula. And Chowder says, oh, so it's a girl house. No, it stimulates the gag reflex. Everyone has a uvula, not me. It's great.
That's a great line. Yeah, it's so funny. Again, like that's your typical like, oh, we got to have an edgy joke for the kids movie, but it's a genuinely funny joke, so I'm okay with it being there.
It is, and of course it makes sense because Chowder's like 11 or 12 years old.
Yeah, he doesn't get it. He thinks he gets it.
Sense.
Yeah. And look, to be fair, it is a girl house because it's Constance who's taken it over.
That is true.
So you are
he just knew that for the wrong reason.
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
What else? Oh, how could we forget about John Hedder's character, Skull?
Ooh, Skull. Yeah. He the famous gif of him eating the thing that Chowder was holding.
That's it was like cookies or like chocolate.
Yeah, that's my backdrop on Letterboxd.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like he's only in the film for like 2 minutes, but that like 2 minutes, he's so great.
Yeah.
He's so great with what he talks about. He's so amazing.
Yeah, because he's like this total loser who just plays video games at his pizza job all day. But they think he's so cool because he's just like, oh, the house, you got to enter through. Like he's just like explaining it like it's like a mythical quest or something like that.
Yeah. In my travels between like comic book stores and comic conventions, I've seen many strange and wondrous things. And DJ Channel like, oh yes, like this hanging on to every word he says.
This guy rules. Yeah.
What was it? Oh yeah, we got like Robert Zemeckis and Spielberg on as executive producers. Screenplay, though, by Dan Harmon, of all people.
I flipped a tit when I saw that. I was like, whoa, Dan? What are you doing here?
I only realized who it was after I'd already watched like Rick and Morty when I was a teenager, and then I went back and watched this film again. I was like, "Wait, shit, he wrote this?
Yeah.
What?
Cool."
And then I'm looking, I'm like, this kind of like lines up a bit. It's very Dan Harmon as well. If you watched Community as well,
I haven't seen Community yet, but I do hear that show is pretty fire. So like, I want to check it out at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, this feels like the cleverness. At least the actual cleverness of something like Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty is no longer that clever. Yeah, early seasons when it was actually clever, but it wasn't like obnoxious about its cleverness. Like this movie, there's nothing obnoxious about it. Whereas
there's nothing really like super smart about it. It's just sort of like it's just going with it.
Super solid, yes.
DJ's parents, I was going to ask, because I've never really thought about where they go off to for that one night. So they leave, like that's like the whole thing. I was like, okay, we're gonna go, and like Elizabeth's gonna like babysit you for like one night, and you could see they're bringing like stuff into the car and like bringing it out at the end. Like there's like a big massive like tooth and a giant toothbrush, and it's like, where are they going?
Did they go?
Because they never explain where they're going.
Did they go to a dentist convention?
That's what I've always thought about. Was it a dentist convention? Like, are those like a thing?
Are they dentists?
I don't know. They never say.
Yeah, again, they're not that important to the movie, so I guess just having a giant toothbrush is just fun for a visual gag. Like, oh look, they have a giant toothbrush. That's funny. That's randoms.
Yep. No, I think I've just about almost said everything I want. I mean, like, I'm assuming people who are listening right now have probably seen the film already and just wanted to hear what we think. I think one last thing I want to say, I fucking love the final fight of this film. When they get the crane and they go down to like the construction area.
Yeah.
That is like, this is like childhood dreams. It's like, I want to do all of this. I want to be in the crane. I want to take the house down with like the digger.
Yeah.
I want to climb up like the top of like the crane and swing down on the what is it? I forgot what it is now.
The crane hook.
Swings. Yeah, the crane hook. I want to swing around on the hook.
I want to endanger myself by having live dynamite.
I want to kiss a girl on the lips on top of the crane.
I kissed a girl. Oh, so cool.
I kissed a girl on the lip.
Yeah, I love how like after everything, then Chowder approaches him. He's like, "Hey, man, I think she touched my butt," or something. Or did he touch her butt?
She grabbed my butt.
That's
nice, Chowder.
That's nice, Chowder. So funny.
God. But yeah, no, there's that final. The whole film is like, I love it so much. It's ingrained in the noodle. I could recite the whole script for you right now, but we're gonna be here all day if we do that.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
Music's great. I think I don't know who does the music. I've never looked, but I think the music got a lot of kick to it. A lot of variety. I was going to ask as well, like, I think a final point we want to make for Monster House is that there is a sequel apparently in production.
Really?
Yeah, there's been talks of doing a sequel, and I think there's like a script being written right now. But I'm unsure of how that would look like.
Yeah.
Because Monster House, it's sort of like one and done. There's not really any more story to tell at the end.
I can't imagine a sequel to this movie. I think it wraps up everything perfectly. I don't think there needs to be any more.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what they could do for a sequel without it being like sort of cheap. Like, oh, Constance comes back.
Yeah.
Her soul didn't actually leave again. She's just possessing another house.
Yeah, that would kind of ruin the ending. It's like I think we ended it where it needs to end. Like the story that needed to be told was told. Anything else would just be extra, and we don't need that.
Yeah, I thought that as well. I think. All right, well, there's like many things you could do for a sequel, even though I never really thought of it having a sequel to begin with. Like maybe, okay, is it going to pick up directly after the first film, or is it going to take place years later? Is it going to be about like the three main characters again, or is it going to be our different characters doing a similar scenario again? Or is it going to be like the same three characters as adults, and they're like maybe there's like this like pandemic of like possessed houses terrorizing neighborhoods, and these three have now like sort of become like pseudo Ghostbusters, just going in and sorting the problem.
I mean, the director did direct a Ghostbusters film.
That
The
is true.
the least bad Ghostbusters film of the 21st century, so that's something.
I mean, I don't know. I wasn't really that fussed on Afterlife. I think no, which one is it? No, Frozen Empire.
Frozen
Yeah,
Empire.
I wasn't that big on Frozen Empire. I think Afterlife might have been better, even if it was just nothing but remember this.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I do remember that. Whoa. Crazy.
CGI Harold Ramis.
And yet,
there's one.
And yet we still prefer those movies over the 2016 one.
Yeah, no, there's another weird thing as well, because I've seen First Ghostbusters. I've seen that dozens of times. I've seen the reboot twice, not by choice, and then I've watched Afterlife and Frozen Empire. Still have never watched Ghostbusters 2. It's just like I've like never once, and I don't know why, but I think I've recently come to the conclusion like I don't really need to watch Ghostbusters 2 because I got the first movie and that's kind of all I need. So I've never really had like the urge to watch the second film.
I mean,
and even then, I hear like most people say like Ghostbusters 2 is fine.
Yeah, I like Ghostbusters 2. I think I like it more than a lot of people do. I think because the reason a lot of people hated it back in the day was because you had the first one, which was so good, and then this was the follow up. It's like, this is disappointing. But then they saw the next three, and they're like, maybe 2 wasn't that bad, actually. Maybe this one... like, people went back and it was just like, okay, maybe this wasn't the worst thing ever.
I hate how like the revisionism just always like kicks in when the next thing is even worse. Like,
I know.
Well, it's the same thing like Indiana Jones with like, oh yeah, maybe Kingdom of the Crystal Skull wasn't that bad after they saw Dial of Destiny.
I mean, look, and
it's like,
in fairness,
it's like I don't want it to be right, but it actually is. It is better than Dial of Destiny.
Oh yeah, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is way better than Dial of Destiny. It's still not great. I have a soft spot for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, regardless of how bad Dial of Destiny was. But I agree. Revisionism can sometimes go too far. I think Ghostbusters 2 is warranted. I think that movie did get a bad hand, but like obviously, no matter what, it's never going to be the first one. So if you don't ever check it out, I get it. But yeah, I totally get what you mean.
But back to the Monster House 2 proposed sequel. I'm not sure where they're going to go, but I'm interested to hear what they cook up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how they're going to animate the film. I'd really like it to probably be motion capture again, just for consistency.
Yeah.
About that though, we haven't had like when was the last motion capture film we ever had? Because it sort of like died off in like 2010 somewhere.
It might have been Mars Needs Moms. Yeah, because the motion capture stuff was stuff like Polar Express, Beowulf, the Jim Carrey Christmas Carol, and Mars Needs Moms. Those are the 4 big ones. I don't think we've had a proper one since Mars Needs Moms, because Mars Needs Moms was so bad and bombed so horribly that they're like, okay, let's never do this again.
Oh shit. So Mars Needs Moms was 2011, but 2011 was also the Tintin movie.
Yeah.
That was also motion capture.
Well, that's funny because Zemeckis did all 4 of those movies. I guess he just produced Mars Needs Moms. He didn't really direct it. And then Spielberg comes in with the Tintin movie, and everyone's like, "Wait, this one rules!"
That's Spielberg and Peter Jackson, and then you've also got like Edgar Wright with a writing credit as well.
Yeah, and then they never did a sequel to that one because I guess I think Mars Needs Moms was so bad that people were like, "Let's never do these again."
Well, I've heard they're going ahead with a second Tintin film, but then again, it's been like over 10 years since the first one.
Yeah, it's been a long time since the first one. Like, at this point, is it ever really going to happen? Who knows?
I'm still waiting for Danny DeVito to be cast as Professor Calculus. Although I think Danny DeVito might be too overexposed at this point. So, who's to say? About Monster House 2, I'll wait and see whatever they do. I'm interested to see. I'm just I don't know, just not sure where we can go beyond the first one.
I'm skeptical, but I'm inherently skeptical when it comes to sequels anyway. Even if it's a movie that I love wholeheartedly and it gets a sequel, I'm very skeptical. So, I don't know. There's no guarantees in life.
Yeah, I know. What I really don't want it to be is just like banking on like nostalgia for the first film.
Oof. No, thank you.
Because it's already like so niche, because it's only like specific nostalgia to our generation. It's only like just one movie, one very niche film from 2006 that only like teenagers and young adults will know.
Yeah.
So it's like there's not much nostalgia you can really mine from this movie other than just like maybe doing the first film again.
Yeah.
Which I really don't want them to do.
Yeah, no.
But we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I guess we'll see. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still have that DVD pack of yours with this movie in it?
Yes, I do. I still have the Monster House. I still have So Open Season. The only thing though is that I have not used it in a while because all 3 discs are super scratched from so much use.
Yeah.
I've not watched either Surf's Up or Open Season in many years, but Monster House is something I still come back to at least like every other Halloween. But I'd be very interested to watch Surf's Up again because Surf's Up I've heard is like very good, and I've like seen like bits and pieces people have posted online. I'm like, I actually kind of want to watch that one again.
Yeah. So yeah, you thinking of keeping that DVD then?
Oh, of course. I mean, that's like it's a staple of my childhood. That DVD's like completely staying.
Okay, good. Yeah, no. I don't have this movie on physical media, but I would love to own like a Blu-ray or a DVD of this because I like it a lot. I like this movie. I will gas it up. I will be one of those Monster House truthers being like, "No, you got to check it out. It's really good." And yeah, I want to watch it as often as I can. In October, yeah. I think it was cool to revisit in May, but I think it is more appropriate for an October/Halloween viewing.
I mean, it does take place on Halloween.
Exactly.
So
true.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'd probably say, oh yeah, go watch it. It's so good. It's like an underrated masterpiece, but that's not even true anymore because everyone our age has done all the work for us by gassing it up online. So
yeah.
It's not really underrated anymore.
It's like how Williams says it. Sometimes a movie becomes... It's underrated at one point, but then it gets so popular that at this point it's rated. So yeah, at this point, I'd say Monster House has entered the rated section. So yeah,
like the same thing when people our age watched Star Wars prequels and they were smaller, and then when they grew up, they were like, hey, maybe their Star Wars prequels are not so bad. It's something similar to that. I think.
So
that's a whole other story.
Yeah. Oh yeah, a whole other story. I agree. Well, let's talk about an actual underrated film.
I'm not really sure about that. If that's really underrated, Hal. I'm not sure how Shark really is.
Yeah, no.
But that was a smooth transition. I'll give you that.
I wouldn't call House Shark underrated. But yeah, House Shark. So we wanted to talk about Monster House. I didn't have it, so I thought, okay, the second movie we got to talk about. It has to be something I own. And I thought, okay, let's keep the theme going of horror/Halloween type of film. And I thought, let's keep it going even further and make it a horror movie that takes place in a house. So I thought, well, I have 2 options. I can either make you watch the 1977 Japanese horror film House, which is one of my all-time favorite horror films, or I do the funny option. And well, on this podcast, funny always wins. So, ACritic, I made you watch House Shark.
But for the record, you looked through my Letterboxd watch list for like a second film because I didn't know what to pick for a second film. And both House Shark and House was on my watch list. I just wanted you to know that.
Yes, yeah, I did notice that, but I decided to go with the funnier option.
Thank you very much, Hal.
So I made you watch House Shark because I have it on DVD. House Shark. So it was a movie we found on Tubi one day. It was one of our classic wheel night movies. And so the story goes, if I'm remembering correctly, the first time I watched it in a wheel night setting with friends, it was the night we watched Ryan's Babe, which is a whole other masterpiece of schlock that people should check out. But then we watched House Shark. And we were having fun, but I do have to admit this. I technically didn't finish the movie the first time we watched it because I got really sick that night, and I thought it was the movie, but no, it was the beer I was drinking that night. It was a bad batch of beer. Literally with 5 minutes remaining in the movie, I was like, I can't do this. So I I just pussied out. I left the call, and I think immediately afterwards I went into the bathroom and just threw up. It was not a good night.
Can I ask what brand of beer was it?
Oh, it was a local beer. It was actually the brewery.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a brewery that's local. Not their fault. I mean, it's their fault. The recipe was bad for this particular beer. But the rest of their beer, I can attest, is actually really good. Anyway. So it would be unfair to call them out at this point. But what's funny is that then the next day I'm in Bull Moose. I've talked about Bull Moose before, the classic Bull Moose where I get a lot of my movies for my collection. I find House Shark on DVD and I go, guys, do I do it? And immediately they're like, yes, do it. So I went and got House Shark on DVD. And you know what? I was kind of hoping, okay, someday I'll watch it again. I'll give it another shot. Maybe it has the makings of an actually funny wheel night film. Unfortunately, no. I watched it again yesterday. It was quite a trudge, quite a trekking to get through this movie. It was not a fun rewatch. I realized, okay, I was sick that night when I watched it, and the beer definitely didn't help. But watching it completely sober, no, it's still bad. ACritic, what did you think of House Shark?
I enjoyed it. I actually quite enjoyed myself quite a bit watching it.
Okay.
But I think my main problem with the film is that if it was like 10 to 15 minutes shorter, it would probably be a lot better.
Oh yeah.
Because this film is like an hour and 50. I don't feel like films like this should be that long.
No. The films
an hour
of
30
this
at
caliber,
the very least.
Yeah, films of this caliber should not be nearly 2 hours long. That's too far. Yeah, because this is very much, it's obviously it's an SRS produced film. You're gonna find it on Tubi, no problem. But yeah, that's the caliber of films we're dealing with here. Is a Tubi film, film you find on Tubi, and yeah, no, it's because usually sometimes you do find a really funny Tubi film. Like just yesterday for Wheel Night, we watched a film called Pool Party Massacre, and it ruled. It was so funny in how pathetic it was.
Yeah.
But it did have elements to it where it's like, okay, that's cute. Like they're taking advantage of their budget. Like they're able to produce something still super fun. Whereas here, there's elements, but I don't know. Yeah, like you said, the pacing and the runtime definitely make it a hard watch to get through. Like I genuinely was starting to fall asleep halfway through.
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
I feel like that was my really like only my big complaint because I was like really struggling towards the end when there was still like 20 minutes left.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this up now. It's not really that funny anymore.
No, yeah, the it definitely overstays its welcome. Look, sometimes it is funny. Like you see the puppet of the shark, it's a funny looking puppet. And in fairness, the filmmakers do not take this seriously, and that's fine because it's the house shark. It's Jaws, but inside a house. They're nowhere near any water.
That's literally the tagline.
Yeah, it's just Jaws in a house. And I get it. You're not going to take that seriously, and that's fine. Don't take it seriously. But, and I always say this, bad on purpose is still bad. So...
Yeah, you get things like The Incredible Bulk.
Yeah. Again, when you make something bad on purpose, you can only really have that excuse for so long because, and especially if you're watching it for 112 minutes, bad on purpose is still bad. You're still going through a really rough movie. And it's really hard to forgive it when it's still bad on purpose.
It's not like something like The Room or Suburban Sasquatch, which were both made with like earnest intentions.
Yeah. When movies are made with earnest intentions and they end up bad, that's funny. This being made to be bad on purpose, sometimes it can be funny, but other times you're like, I don't know, you need a better sense of humor than this.
Yeah. What do we want to start with House Shark? What do we want to start with?
I don't know. Whatever notes you have, I'll bounce off of those.
Okay. All right. Well, the first thing, I'm going to go through this at least like chronologically for as long as we can.
Sure.
All right. So first, we introduce the main character, who is sheriff character. He was a former sheriff,
Yeah.
and they never explain why he was like struck off the force, and that's like a running joke in the film. He never explains it.
Which can be
I
funny.
take one look. Yeah, it was pretty funny for like the first 3 times they bring it up.
Yeah.
I take one look at this guy, this actor, and then we see his son. I'm immediately thinking, that's not his son. He's way too young.
Yeah.
Way too young looking.
What is he, like 10 years older than the son or something?
At least like a stretch, but
Yeah.
he definitely doesn't look like old enough to have a son who's at least like 10 to 12.
Yeah.
I was going to say, yeah, that was my first point. I'm not even really going to like comment on the acting in general, unless you want to, because like, the acting is like very.
Yeah.
Well, you know what you're getting into.
Yeah. I mean, I like the acting of the Abraham character. That's why I made him my PFP for this episode.
I noticed that.
Yeah. Oh, the house shark is a real pussy or something like that. Yeah, like that's funny, but then other times you get the actors who are just like a little too wooden, and yeah, in fairness, it is probably unfair to judge the acting in this movie. We're not dealing with Daniel Day-Lewis here. We're dealing with
no one's really a professional actor.
We're dealing with people who said yes. So I totally get it.
You guys are making a movie? Hey, I want to be a part of it. Okay, come on in.
So yeah, you're right. So yeah, we don't have to comment on the acting. Moving on.
So yeah, so outside of like him and maybe like Native American Darth Vader who shows up for like 5 minutes.
Darth Squanto.
Yep. Outside like him and the actor who's playing the Abraham Lincoln / Quint character. Everyone else just kind of like blows.
Yeah. They're trying.
It's like,
but
they're trying, but it's fine.
Yeah.
It's really fine. So the dad goes to leave his son because he's also being babysitting. He's also being babysat by a babysitter, and he's going off on a date because his parents are split up, which we will get into, which is a whole other subplot of this movie. So the dad leaves, and the babysitter is reading Moby Dick, which I noticed was very interesting. Because as you know, the whole film is they're trying to hunt the shark, and Moby Dick, they hunt the whale. And I love this level of symbolism, because I'm going to bring it back to Evil Dead again, where in Evil Dead 2, after Ash cuts his hand off, and he puts the hand underneath the bin, and then he puts a stack of books on top of it as well. And the top book on that stack of books is called Farewell to Arms.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's great. I saw what you did there, House Shark. Fair play. But there's never anything like that smart again for the rest of the film.
No. Because in the rest of the movie, it's just cherry picking Jaws things and having a running theme of characters named after presidents, which was weird.
I didn't even notice that.
Well, because you're not American. Because
Oh no, but I know U.S. presidents. I just didn't pick up on the fact that they were all named after U.S. presidents, except for fucking Abraham.
Yeah, Abraham. It's obvious he has the beard, and I mean he looks more like Captain Ahab. But yeah, it's obviously Abraham. The main realtor is called Reagan. The head of it is named Ronald. The main character's name is Franklin Delano Roosevelt. His son's name is Theodore Roosevelt. You have the German guy Zachary Taylor. Zachary Taylor was a president. The only character who's not named even the women, so the Reagan's assistant is named Nancy. That's Nancy Reagan, First Lady of the United States with Reagan. Fucking what is it? Frank's ex-wife is named Ladybird Johnson, First Lady who was married to President Lyndon Johnson in the 60s.
Yeah, I kept thinking about why she was called Ladybird.
Yeah, it is a very random name, and then you remember, Ladybird Johnson from the 60s. The only character who's not named after a president is Darth Squanto. As far as I know, there was not a president named Darth Squanto. Not yet, at least.
Yeah, no, there hasn't been a president who's been Native American either.
Well, yeah. Moving on.
Yeah, no, I actually did notice that, but I don't mean to be a prick or anything, but what is that really saying about the film that everyone's named after U.S. presidents and first ladies? What's it really saying about the film?
Nothing. It is an arbitrary thing, much like how Darth Squanto is just Darth Vader and just doing a bunch of Star Wars jokes. There's no reason for it. Like, yeah, it's just random that every character is named after a president. It could be fun, but I don't think the movie necessarily gets how it could be fun. They're just like, wouldn't it be funny if we name all our characters presidents? Sorry,
that voice threw me for a second. That was actually really good.
Thank you. I love doing the throat voice like that.
What else did I write down here? I was looking at like I got caught on like the paintings on the walls in the house. There's this one. I don't know if you saw it or not, but it's in the background quite a bit. There's this one in like the main living room where it's just a painting of stacked bowls. Sitting there thinking, it's like, they had to get that commissioned. There's no way that just exists.
Yeah, I don't even remember that. Jeez.
I kept seeing it like so many times. I saw it in the opening, I saw it in the middle, and so I was like, who? They had to get that commissioned. There's no way someone just... It's like, it's a white canvas with white bowls stacked on top of each other, and I was like, they had to get that commissioned. There's no way anybody's painting that.
That's funny, yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty funny just to notice it, and it's like, why would you have that hung up?
Yeah.
What else was I going to say? Oh, babysitter character is the first one to die in the film. Goes to the toilet, strips off completely nude to use the toilet.
Yep.
Yeah, and I wound it back just in case. I was like, whoa, why is she naked all of a sudden? So I wound it back, and she's wearing like shorts and a top. So I was like, you didn't need to take all of that off.
Well,
to go to the toilet.
Well, ACritic, I don't know if you understand this, but see, this is how horror films work. The woman gets naked.
Yes.
No, that's it. The woman gets naked.
Oh. I mean, you could have done it like something better than that without being so contrived.
Right.
I mean, come on.
I know. I understand. But boobs.
Well, yeah, I know boobs, but just make them feel urged.
No.
Make them feel urged.
No. ACritic. Boobs. That's it. End of conversation. End of story. It is so blatant though how she's just like, I need to go to the bathroom. Strips completely nude. Yeah.
But that again though, that is actually funny though.
It is very funny. Yes, absolutely.
So she dies. She's the first one to die from the shark. The shark comes up through the toilet and eats her.
Eats her ass.
Yeah, no, I wasn't expecting that. That was very interesting. I haven't been this scared of using the toilet since I saw Snakes on a Plane. If you've seen Snakes on a Plane.
I have. I like Snakes on a Plane.
You know the bit I'm talking about then.
It's been a while since I remember, but I guarantee, I do believe there was a scene with a toilet and Snakes on a Plane. Yeah, I believe that.
It's a bit where the guy goes to the toilet. He pulls his dick out and he's like, all right, buddy, let's get to work. Yeah. And then there's a snake hiding in the toilet bowl and the snake jumps up and grabs him on the dick.
Classic.
He's like, oh, get off of my dick! And like smashes into the bathroom mirror and dies.
Yeah.
Great stuff. But, so she dies. The dad comes back from his date and he finds the remains of the babysitter in the toilet, and he also sees the shark fin in the toilet bowl as well. And then there's like a 2-month time cut. 2 months later, and we see the dad and his son pitched up a tent in the back garden, and they've been living in there for 2 months. They used fucking barbecue outside for all of their breakfast and their food and everything. And I'm like, that is actually kind of funny that they camp out of the back garden. But then the dad character goes on and on about I don't let anybody go in the house. No one ever goes back in the house after what happened that night. No one's allowed to go in there. I wish I could destroy that house. I wish I could burn it down and everything. And I was thinking to myself, well, what stopped you from burning down the house at all? What's stopping you?
Yeah, I think he explains it. He doesn't explain it. I think he tries to explain why he hasn't burned it down, but he just doesn't. And it's like, okay,
yeah, no.
Well. So then the movie just has several scenes of him being like, I wish I could burn this down. It's like, oh, really stretching out the plot there, aren't we?
What was stopping you? Oh, actually, no, I remember now what they said. They do justify it. Because I think it's either Abraham or the other guy. I forget what the other guy's called.
Zachary Taylor.
I think either one of those two says to him, is like, oh, if you blew up the house or you set the house on fire, the house shark would just escape and go to another house.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, they do say that. I was like, oh.
Yeah, but they don't say that until like towards the middle. So it's like, okay, what stopped you from burning that? Because he didn't know that until they told him. So it's like, what stopped you before then to burn down the house?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, it's just something I think about. And then like, oh, really? That's the excuse? It will just escape and go to another house.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay. Fair enough. What was it? But I actually think them living out in the back garden's funny. But again, it's just sort of like contrived. Should I really be talking about contrivances in a film like House Shark? Do I really have to be this much of a dick?
Yeah. Do we need to explain? Yeah, it's like picking on the mentally challenged children from Monster House. It's not fair.
Oh God. Something else. There's like a consistent thing they do in the film where they do like Facebook updates. I think it is.
Yeah, you can tell this was made by people. Well, so that's the weird thing. I was thinking, oh, was this movie made in 2012? No, it was made in 2017. It's like, oh,
really? I thought it was 2015.
Yeah, no, it's 2017. Yeah, so
wow,
it literally probably would have made more sense with the Facebook updates to be made in 2015. It's like, okay, Facebook was not what it was. Like they're treating Facebook. Yeah, like the Facebook posts as if it was like taking place in 2012 or something like that. But no, it's like this is 2017. That constantly updating Facebook like that was not a thing by 2017.
Yeah.
I feel like by 2017 it was pretty much accepted that Facebook was like the boomer social media, which boomers do not
which really says a lot.
Yeah, boomers do not treat Facebook like that. Boomers do not treat Facebook like that, where they're updating every second. Like they treat it to show off like articles that aren't true.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, no, it really says a lot though, because Facebook was, well, if you watch The Social Network, it was made for like teenagers and people around that very certain age. It's very weird how sort of like people over 40 have now sort of claimed it for their own.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like it feels very dated in its usage of social media. Like, haha, look, we're joking around that they're like constantly updating what's happening, and it's like hashtags and stuff like that. It's very like I guess they're trying to make it seem funny, to be like, oh, haha, isn't it funny and random how we're doing this? It's like, I don't know, like I still think it's pathetic that you guys are doing it, regardless of whether or not it's part of the joke, I
mean, I actually, there's some parts where it's funny where they just cut to doing a Facebook update right in the middle of like an intense scene. It's like the bit where at the very end where Abraham gets eaten up by the shark.
Yeah.
And then it just like cuts for like a few seconds to a Facebook update while our main character takes like a selfie.
Yeah.
With the feet sticking out of the shark.
Yeah, that's funny, but like that's, I don't know. I just feel like at that point in the movie it's a little too late to have stuff like that,
I can see that. I'd also like to say, I've looked at this director's filmography. He's been making films since like the 1990s, so I'm assuming he's well over 40.
Well over 50 at this point. Yeah.
It's very weird that like at least that a guy in his 40s made this film, when it's usually stuff directed by like a guy by like 20 years younger, I guess.
Yeah.
Especially with like how immature it is.
Hey man, I mean, you can have any kind of sense of humor when you're that age, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, it can seem a little too immature, where it's like, really, dude, you're making this.
Yeah, there's a lot of very immature stuff. There's another part in the opening with the babysitter where there's a stock fart noise.
Yeah,
and she's like, oh no, damn period gas. Stock fart noise.
Yeah, I guess.
I was like, oh wow, how old is this director?
Yeah.
Who wrote this? How old were they?
Haha, the hot naked lady is farting in the toilet. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, but it's a subversion of expectations, because you have a very hot, beautiful woman, and she makes very disgusting noises when she's on the toilet. You get it?
That's right. Yeah, hot people never fart. Smart. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not normal humans. They don't have normal bodily functions.
Pretty good. So I wrote down this other note here. I forget who says this, but I think they're talking about like main character's son, where he's like someone, I don't know who says it, but somebody says, "Oh, my son, he watches stuff on YouTube. He watches the Tubuscus and Pody Pie." I was like,
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, is that them getting the names wrong on purpose, or is it them in earnest getting the names wrong?
Well, I think I wrote it down from how it sounded out. So it was two Buscus. So it was TEW Buscus, and then Podi Pie was PODI Pie. So I'm thinking that they just stole that they just swapped like the E and O around for them. I think that is intentional that they knew what they were doing. I think they just like plucked two random YouTuber names out.
Yeah. Which, okay, PewDiePie was popular in 2017, but Tobuscus in 2017, really?
Which one was Tobuscus again? I forgot. Did he do Minecraft or something?
Do you like my sword, Nugget and a Biscuit? He was the main guy in the Annoying Orange TV show. He was like the human guy in the Annoying Orange show on Cartoon Network. Yeah, I didn't really grow up with Tobuscus, and obviously he's very disgraced now, so I think it's a good thing I didn't grow up with Tobuscus.
Was he another one of those ones that got caught in like something with children?
Not with children. I think he was just abusive in relationship. I don't want to necessarily have him catch strays because I don't entirely know the story, but you know, apparently he's not a good guy. So,
fair enough.
But PewDiePie was popular in 2017. Good job. Good job, movie. You knew PewDiePie was big in that time, so good for you.
I mean, he's still kind of popular to this day.
Yeah, he is. He's not as popular as he once was, but that's just because he doesn't go online as often.
No, he's sort of like semi-retired.
Yeah, which good for him, you know.
Yeah.
I'm happy for him.
Yeah, I'm happy for him. He's great. I've almost run out of notes. I think
totally fine.
I took like so many notes in like the first 50 minutes of the film, and then like at a certain point it was like, okay, I don't need to take any more notes.
Yeah.
I got the gist of the film.
You got the gist of the film. Yeah, that's the thing. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but you definitely, because again, like sometimes the puppet can be cute, sometimes the jokes are genuinely funny, but sometimes they're incredibly random. Like, the president's jokes, the Darth Squanto jokes. It's like,
Squanto was the next note I'd written down there.
Yeah,
I was like, what is the point of this? This is funny, but like, what is the point?
Yeah, I'm fine with entirely random jokes as long as they're actually funny. And sometimes they could be funny, but other times it's like, I don't entirely get it, you know? And I guess, again, like you were saying, should we really be questioning House Shark and the jokes they're telling? Because it's like, I guess you get what you get, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't get it. I really don't. And I don't know, I just don't think they're as funny as they could be. I feel like the comedy is translated still a little weird.
Yeah, I completely get it. Maybe it's just like it's a case where like, oh, it's what the director finds funny and he assumes that people will also think it's funny.
Yeah.
And it is to a certain extent.
But I also don't think he has the skills to really translate it through the movie's shortcomings.
Yeah. Darth Squanto.
Yeah. I mean, look, inherently it's funny, just like how he's quoting like Darth Vader, and then after 5 minutes of screen time, he immediately gets killed off by the shark. That's funny, but I don't know. I don't think the movie knows it's that funny. Or at the very least, if that joke came to us in a movie that was had way less of a runtime than 112 minutes, I'd probably find it a lot funnier.
Yeah, again, like something like you want to aim for like the 80 to 90 minute mark.
Yeah. Like I said, Pool Party Massacre, the movie I just watched yesterday, 81 minutes. Perfect length. It could get a little, there was literally like a 10-minute sequence that people were getting sick and tired of. I thought it was really funny, but that was it. Like, it was still an 81-minute movie where it's like, okay, they knew when to call things off and be like, this is our movie, and still be feature length.
Yeah. And something like Suburban Sasquatch, I've just checked now, has got like an hour 37. So it's just about getting away with it.
Right. Yeah, I think even that might be pushing it a little, but Suburban Sasquatch, I think, earns it because, well, it's Suburban Sasquatch. If you know, you know.
I'm trying to forget. There's like a constant like fucking like noise in that film that whenever like the Sasquatch shows up, I forget how it goes. There it is.
Oh, I love Suburban Sasquatch.
Oh god, but I think like out of all of these like budgeted films, cheap films, the best one of all of them I think we all know it. It's Who Killed Captain Alex.
Oh yeah, Who Killed Captain Alex is even in itself is its on its own level, because it is so insane that you just can't take any of it seriously, and it rules. Yeah, Who Killed
But the
Captain
film
Alex?
recognizes that and just plays straight into it.
Yeah, no. Who Killed Captain Alex is, again, like, even though it is, I guess you could consider it one of those so bad it's good films. It's still on its own level, like separate from your average Tubi bad film, or like the kings of so bad it's good cinema, like your Rooms, your Birdemics, your Suburban Sasquatches. Like, Who Killed Captain Alex is its own beast, dude. It's such.
That one like just sits above high and mighty above them all, because it is actually like actually good,
genuinely entertaining all the way through. I love Who Killed Captain Alex.
It is so good. It's especially on top of that as well, with like the circumstance of how the film was made, and like everything going on around at the time of how they managed to get it made, like the stuff they had, the setup they had to like get it all done, like a budget of $200, and they managed to put that out. Like, that's great.
What the fuck?
People doing it. I know people just doing it because they want to entertain, just make a great movie, and they pull that up. It's great
because everybody in Uganda knows kung fu.
Yeah. We don't have Bruce Lee. We have Bruce Yu. But so glad there's a sequel coming out soon.
Yeah.
But back to House Shark.
Back to House Shark.
The more I talk about this film, the more I'm considering maybe like lowering my rating, because I think I gave it a 3 stars.
Yeah. Look. I've been there before. Sometimes you watch a movie, you think it's really funny, and then you think about it some more and you go, oh, maybe this wasn't that great. Like, again, that's what I experienced. I thought, oh, this was actually kind of fun in a wheel night setting, even though I was battling a really bad batch of beer that night. I still thought, oh, maybe there's something to this movie. But actually rewatching it, it's like, I don't know. There's far funnier movies out there. Like, I feel as though something like Pool Party Massacre will stick with me more. I think even stuff like the Matchstick Flame movies I've been watching recently, like, those will stick with me far more when it comes to so bad it's good cinema.
No, I get that. I completely get that.
But I think if you did genuinely get something out of this in terms of comedy, like, I don't think you should be ashamed of that. I think if you do genuinely find entertainment in this movie, that's fine. I mean, some people do. I mean, look at the back of this DVD I have. It says one of the most entertaining films I've seen in a long time, coming from Boston Hassle. I don't know who Boston Hassle is. I think that's I don't know, maybe it's like a horror magazine.
Is it a newspaper?
I don't know. I'm from Boston. I've never heard of these people before. Let me look this up. Boston Hassle. Boston Hassle. The Boston Hassle is brought to you by the musicians, artists, writers, and enthusiasts of the Boston area. Oh, okay. So it's just a Boston newspaper. Yeah, okay. And I guess they review movies and stuff like that. I've literally never heard of these people before. and I'm from Boston, so okay, well there you go. But I guess they got something out of House Shark. That's completely fair. It's going to vary from person to person when it comes to the so bad it's good subgenre of film.
Yeah, I completely understand that. I think more so something like maybe like, I don't know, The Room or Who Killed Captain Alex really only stick in my head because I've watched them more than once.
Yeah,
something like Suburban Sasquatch I've only seen once, and this I probably will never watch again.
Yeah. When I think of my favorite so bad it's good films, I think of stuff like Faust. I think of stuff like Morbius, like those. I mean, because those are different. I when it comes to like maybe like Tubi level stuff like Sea Ape. Movies that are just so inept and fail so hard, but yet they're still entertaining all the way through. Whereas House Shark, I feel like, is your average so bad it's good film, or so like average Tubi schlock, where it's occasionally something is funny and genuinely you do get something genuinely entertaining every once in a while, but the pacing of really funny stuff is not nearly there the way that it is with some other movies where, the best so bad it's good films keeps you engaged and entertained the entire duration.
Yeah, no, I get that as well. Like I said, it does like where it's welcome. Outstay its welcome. Yeah, outstay its welcome by about like 20 minutes.
Which is a pretty big chunk of the movie.
Yeah, I think that was at the point where I was like, okay, I have no more notes to write. I know
Mhm.
what this film is at this point. It's just wrap it up now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you have any much else to say? I think I got like one or two more notes left.
I've pretty much made my opinions on it pretty apparent. Like, again, it's not the worst. I've seen far
Yeah.
worse than House Shark. Um, but in terms of so bad it's good cinema, I feel like I can think of a handful more, like so many more that affected me more. Where I'm like, I think this, I would rather rewatch this than House Shark. So, but yeah, you have a couple more notes. But lay it on me, dude.
I really only have one, and it is another funny bit.
Mm-hmm.
So you know they're the people who like own the house are like showing it off to like buyers,
Mm-hmm.
and you get that one couple that come in, that gets eaten.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one where like the guy sticks his finger in his girlfriend's butthole.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
that couple.
Yes.
Then they come back. They do like the Jaws jump scare. Where he comes in through the window and he still has the butthole on his finger, just torn off.
Yes, I remember.
And and there's like a bit in between both of those parts where the main character guy sees like a group of kids roll up on bikes, and it's meant to be like the bit from Jaws where like the mother goes up to Brody's Brody.
The mother goes up to
Oh yeah, my
Brody.
son's dead.
Yeah,
Son's dead, and like slaps him and all sorts. There's like this group of kids. They establish that they're orphans, and they're like, why did one of the girls comes up and slaps them and is like, why did you let those two die? They were going to adopt me, and they just get back on their bikes and cycle away.
Yeah, that's funny.
I was like, that's actually really great.
Yeah, that's a great subversion of the Jaws section. Yeah, there is a lot of scenes in here where you're like, oh, that's Jaws. That's the moment from Jaws. Which can be funny, but it also can be obnoxious. That's a moment where it's like, okay, that's cute because yeah, she's like, why did you let this happen? They were gonna adopt me.
They were gonna adopt me.
Like, that's funny.
It's so specific.
Yeah.
And how like out of the ordinary it is.
Yeah. If they had that scene in a movie that was far shorter than this, it would stand out more and it would rule. But yeah, it's, as we've said, the runtime is definitely the biggest aspect holding this back.
Mm-hmm. There was hold on, there's one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Zachary Taylor, the German one.
The German one.
Yeah, they show later on that he's just pretending to be German. That was all just a front.
You mean the obvious American actor with the terrible German accent wasn't German?
But I mean, I didn't even know, because everyone's not really a great actor, so you
sure,
just sort of accept. Oh
that's
yeah, he's
fair.
meant to be German. But then they subverted at the end where he's like, no, I was actually pretending to be German.
Yeah.
And you just thought, oh, they were just being stupid, giving him lederhosen at the start of the film. But no, the lederhosen was part of his whole act. Whoa!
He wasn't actually a German. Yeah.
That's about it. That's all I got for House Shark.
I'm so glad I forced you to watch this instead of House.
I mean, we might have been here for like even longer because I know House has got like so much to talk about with this.
Yeah, House rules.
We're really struggling.
House 1977, it rules. One of my all-time favorite films, but that's an episode for another day. Yeah, but I appreciate you I appreciate you going through with actually watching House Shark. I appreciate it, even though it was bad. But
that's all right.
Yeah,
I think I will go and like knock it down like half a star.
It's totally fair, completely fair. But thanks for being a good sport with it.
That's okay, Hal. It was pretty good for the most part.
But yeah, House Shark, the DVD I have of it, I'm not keeping it. Again, look, I am so down for keeping movies that are bad for the bit. Like, I have plenty of, I've gone over it before. I have plenty of bad movies that I've kept in the collection. Your Fausts, your Morbiuses, your Showgirls, that have actually been a lot of fun to revisit. This is not one of them. House Shark was not a fun revisit. It doesn't seem like something I would return to over and over again. So I unfortunately, this is an episode where I'm getting rid of the DVD. But it happens.
What do you do with it then? Do you like trade it away somewhere?
Yeah. So usually when it comes to stuff I get rid of, like I said, I mentioned Bull Moose. Bull Moose does this thing where you can trade in movies. So I'll usually take like the stuff I didn't keep and I just give it to them, and then they do treat it as a buyback. So then they add what the value of that DVD or Blu-ray or VHS tape, and they put it into my account. They either can give me money back in terms of cash or add credit to my account that I can use to then buy more movies. So it's a fantastic process, and I've been taking advantage of that for years.
Pretty good.
Oh, it rules. Yeah, no, I can just give them all the terrible movies that I don't want anymore, and then I can buy more terrible movies for future podcast episodes.
And then someone else can probably say, "Hey, look, House Shark! I want to see what this is all about," and the cycle will continue.
Exactly. Yeah. No. Great. It's a great process. And then if Bullmoose doesn't even want it, then I can just be like, all right, I'll just, I don't know, throw it away or something like that.
I was about to say, if they won't take it, I'm pretty sure it might just be stuck on eBay for a very long time. No one buying it.
Exactly. Or the garbage,
I guess so.
Yeah, that's happened to me where I've just been like, all right, you're not going to take this, then in the garbage it goes. Or I purposely destroy it. That's what happened to the Surviving Christmas DVD. I was like, I just turned the disc into an ornament. So, yeah.
Hey, at least that's economic. No. Economic? No,
it's not economic. I wasted an entire
environmentally
DVD.
Friendly, I guess.
I guess
you're
so.
recycling
Yeah, I'm recycling it. Yeah, because now the Surviving Christmas ornament is now a staple of the podcast. But yeah, no, I'll just give House Shark back to Bullmoose and some other person they'll give it a home. I'm sure.
Hopefully, if it doesn't get returned again.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything last minute before we wrap things up?
Well, I'm a first timer here, so I might as well shout out all of my my tags and everything.
Absolutely.
If you would like to look at
if
you would like to look at my film reviews, look for ACritic. That's all one word, capital A and C. You'll know me because I have the Twister profile picture. I have Philip Seymour Hoffman from Twister.
Mm-hmm.
I would list my serialized and backlogged, but if you just look on my Letterboxd profile, there'll be links to both of those. They'll take you there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll include your links in the description of the video as well.
Oh, thank you very much, Al. That's very kind of you.
Mm-hmm. It's the least I can do.
Yeah, no, not much else I want to say other than that's all I got to say. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for having me on. I haven't done a podcast in a while, but that was really good. Thank you, Hal.
Yeah, dude. I appreciate you coming on to talk about Monster House and House Shark. This was awesome. This was worth the wait. I'm glad we got to be able to do this. And happy halfway to Halloween, everybody. Ooh, we talked about some spooky movies in May. Ooh.
I mean, I feel like only one of them was spooky.
Right. Well, House Shark was scary for different reasons.
Nah, House Shark was just kind of boring.
At
least towards the end.
It was so boring, it was scary. Woo! All right, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Just